Coming up on this episode of the Hitstreak.
But between Fisk and myself, we had the best catching combination in the big leagues for a long time.
Here is how Dr. Aaron Pryor changed my life. I used to hide my smile, covering my mouth in photos, holding back in conversations, even avoiding big moments. I didn't realize how much it was holding me back until I got my brand new veneers at Pryor Family Dentistry. It's not just my teeth. It's my confidence, my energy, my entire life. Visit PryorFamilyDentistry.com to book a consultation. Your life-changing smile awaits. Whoa. Check this out. Some of the world's biggest success stories started with nothing. Just grit, hustle, and a story worth hearing. If you've got a story that people need to hear, this is your shot. If you've been through the fire and came out stronger, you belong on this show. Email management@nickhyder.com or comment or DM the word Hitstreak to apply. The Hitstreak is where rags to riches stories have been told, and the next one could be yours. Blessings, folks. Welcome back to another episode of the Hitstreak. I am your man, Nick Hyder. And folks, this episode is it's really extra special for me. And I'm gonna tell you a quick little story for context. 4 years ago, when we started this podcast, we were trying to figure out who our first guests were going to be. We were looking for really amazing people to come on and give people a reason to watch Nick host the show. And we talk about him all the time, but my cousin Bob Montgomery was one of the first names on that list. And he doesn't make it back to Nashville very often, but he's here today, right? So that's who we've got in the building, folks. I'm extremely excited. This is going to be an absolute blast. Buckle up. You will be entertained, no doubt. But let me give him a proper introduction, folks, before we get started. So he is a former Major League Baseball catcher for the Boston Red Sox, where he caught for 10 years. He spent the better part of 2 decades as a color commentator and baseball analyst for the Boston Red Sox. Folks, give it up for the man, the myth, the legend. Bob Montgomery is in the building. Bob, thanks for being here, man.
I am so happy that I have a little bit of television experience because I wouldn't want to be made to look that bad here with you this afternoon. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, brother, it's when I like, you know, here I put you this way, Bob. I wouldn't believing in yourself enough to play at the highest of levels is one of the hardest things on earth to do. And I found as far as I was able to play, it was because somebody had did it before me. So I can't tell you how many times you were referenced in my home coming up as an athlete because you did it. So everything that we're doing today, you influenced.
Well, they couldn't have talked about me that long because I didn't do that many things that were great. I showed up every day, and I was really fortunate in 72 that Carlton Fisk came along and became an everyday player, and he made it possible for me to play in the big leagues for 10 years. But in return, I made a Hall of Famer out of him by not being better.
That's right, man. Oh, man, I've never heard that one before. I love that. That's fantastic. Well, you know, it's been you're born and raised here in Nashville. What year? How old were you when you moved away?
I think it was 17 years old. I just graduated from Central High School, 1962. And at that time, there was no drafting thing. You were just signed with whoever attracted you the most and made you the best offers. However, whatever made you happy is how it worked. And the last scout that I spoke with during that time, and during that time when you were a junior or a senior in high school, there are a lot of baseball scouts around watching you. As I mentioned, there was no draft then, so they had to do their work to grade a player so that they could maybe figure out who they wanted to trail and try to sign. And George Digby called me on a Monday afternoon, right after I graduated from high school, and asked me if I'd signed a contract. And I'd spoken with Baltimore, I'd spoken with Pittsburgh, I'd spoken with Minnesota, and I said, no, I haven't signed. He says, well, don't sign. He says, can I get over there this afternoon and talk to you? I said, absolutely. So he came over, and my dad, obviously, Carl, was sitting beside me. We were doing all this, and we talked about a few things about getting to the big leagues and what the Red Sox stood for and what they did. And he came up with 2 statements. One, he said, The Red Sox don't believe in signing new players to less than a $500 a month salary.
Okay.
And before that, none of the other teams had said anything about more than $250. Now, this is before taxes, obviously.
Sure.
So right away, my ears perked up.
Mm-hmm.
He also came along. He said, I'm prepared to offer you $8,000 as a signing bonus. And I had a thing then, if they sign you for more than $8,000, you had to go into a different category. You had to be put on, I think it's some kind of special elite roster. So getting the $8,000 and $500 a month, I looked at him and I says, where do I sign and when do I start?
That's right. That's right. Sadly enough, I think you got paid more a month than I did my first contract, and that was a long time later.
Oh,
that tells you how good I was.
When he said $500 a month, I said, I'm in the right place now.
That's right.
And then four days later, I'm in Olean, New York, playing in the NYAP League.
Well, my dad tells this story a lot, but he's, growing up here. First of all, let me just throw this in there too. Both you and your brother Gerald were just elite athletes. Can I ask? I don't know if we've ever asked this. Who was better between you two guys? Like when y'all did say, I know he's obviously younger, right? So he's the younger brother.
2 years younger.
2 years younger. Like I look at my sister and I'm like, she's the smart one. You know what I mean? She's the smart one. I'm a fool. She's the smart one. She's where all the talent got. We're looking at between you and your brother, like who was the better athlete of the two?
Oh my goodness. I don't know. Better overall athlete he was.
Okay.
He was probably a little better football player, certainly a better basketball player than I was. Our baseball, we didn't really get to play together too much because of the 2 years difference in our age. And here's a point here where I would stick in a tremendously long thank you to my mother and father, because we only had one car at that time. Mm-hmm. And with Gerald being 2 years behind me, he'd still be playing in one league when I'm playing in the other. We got to all the games we were supposed to get to and all the practices we were supposed to get to.
Wow.
With one car, and both parents did a terrific job to make that happen.
Yeah. Well, it's, growing up in our house, it was the Hiders and you heard about the Hiders and the Montgomerys, but like in Gerald is, I've been extremely close to Gerald my entire life. Just I've seen him multiple times a year, all those things. Let me tell you a fun little story about Gerald that he might remember that you wouldn't probably have heard before. So I was probably 15, 16 years old. And back then we used to have, I can't remember, one of our gatherings was at our church gymnasium is where the food was. And we would always, the football game where everybody got hurt had turned into a basketball game. And Gerald, he said, I'm going to give you I was playing basketball at the time and I was okay. He said, I'm going to give you a tool that you can always use. And I was like, what's that? He goes, well, he can't make a shot if he can't see. And I said, what do you mean? And he took the basketball and he hit me right in the nose with it. And my eyes watered up real bad and I couldn't see nothing. He goes, see?
No, I can't see. I just got hit.
And we were in the game, and that was a thing. And like, of course, everybody just had a big old time because I was who got picked on at that time. But there was something about in our family, especially when it came to you two guys, there was just a certain toughness and a certain it was just done at a really high level. And it's something that's still bleeding into like even my kids today.
There again, I would throw a lot of that responsibility in my dad's pocket because he wanted us to play sports. And I understand. I never saw him play as an amateur, but I understand he was a pretty good amateur player himself. And then he got hurt in an accident, hurt his shoulder, and that killed his playing. So I never got to see him play even as an amateur at any level. But he always made sure. And he didn't grind on us. Oh, you've got to do this. You do it that way. You got to do this. No, you got it. He didn't do that. He made it possible for us to get better with a little bit of tutelage on his part, obviously, but making it possible for us to get where we needed to get to and listen to what coaches and managers had to say to us and take advantage of that.
There's when they talk about your parents, when they tell the stories, it's a lot along those lines. It's we come from some really the bloodline is extremely. We're very we're lucky. I'll just say,
Yeah.
we're very lucky, and it's something that we're extremely proud of for sure. All right, so Nashville, the Nashville of the '60s and the '70s to the Boston Red Sox. All right, so that's a really long journey. It's a long way, especially when you're coming from, we didn't come from a rich family. All right?
No.
So,
no. Rich in personalities and work ethic, but that's where the wealth stopped.
Well, Bob, it's so hard. It's hard for many people. It's hard for me for a long time. You go as far as as you believe. The stories I was always told is like, even as a kid, you always said you were going to be a big leaguer, right? So, and then, gosh, 10 years in the minor leagues, most people don't make it through that either. So, like, how did you like? One of the things we were talking about this morning is like I believe that everybody knows what they're put here to be and who they are. They just don't necessarily believe it yet. And if they ever believe it, that's when it comes true. So at what point for you, like, I'm trying to figure out how to frame this question where it's just from where you came in Nashville to 10 years in the big leagues to doing all the things that you're doing and to be somebody that's treasured in the city of Boston right now, one of the major markets of sports. Like, how did you, talk to me about the mindset and the thought process to get there, Bob, because it couldn't have been easy.
Oh, well, obviously I wanted to be a professional player, and to be a professional player doesn't do you any good if you don't have some kind of drive and desire to get to the big leagues. And it took me a while, as you mentioned, to get to the big leagues. I originally signed as an outfielder, which was not an uncommon thing then. I did a lot of pitching as an amateur player, shortstop. I was the typical high-end, really good player at that level then, pitcher, shortstop, a pitcher, first baseman. And then when I was playing in Olean, New York, they tried to hide, the big league organizations tried to hide their top end players because they didn't want them to get drafted by another organization. And at that time, in order for them to protect me from getting drafted at the end of the year, and I didn't play an awful lot because they try to hide you a lot so your talent doesn't get thrown out all over the place. At the end of that year, they put me on a AA contract. Well, that meant that anybody that wanted, any other organization that wanted to draft me would have to draft me to a AAA contract.
Got it.
And you had to stay there all year, or they had to send you back to the team that they drafted you from.
Wow.
So that took part there. At the end of that year, as I mentioned, I wasn't playing very much. And we got into the playoffs at the end of that year. I played with a couple of guys that became big leaguers. A guy named George Scott was on that team. A guy named Mike Andrews was on that team. When we got to the end of the season and started the playoffs, our third baseman got hurt, couldn't play. My manager was Dick Williams.
Okay.
Excuse me, Hal Holland, not Dick Williams, Hal Holland.
Yep.
And we're in the clubhouse having a meeting, and he says, anybody in here ever play third base? I raised my hand real quick. I said, yeah, I never played third base in my life, but I wanted to play.
Yep.
So I got to play third base and did an okay job, had a pretty good series defensively and offensively. The next spring, I go to spring training as a third baseman. And then the next year, I was playing in Waterloo, Iowa in the Midwest League as a third baseman. And I'm having a very good year hitting. I'm not really leading the league in average, but I'm hitting probably 280 to 290. And I'm doing okay. And I'm also leading the league in errors by third baseman. So that changed the train of thought on that real quick. I was playing for a guy named Len Oakley, who was a catcher in the big leagues and a very good coach, not only as a manager, but as a coach of all the different positions. And he said to me one day, Monty, they started calling me Monty shortly after that, Monty, you ever think about being a catcher? And I looked at him and I kind of smiled and I said, no way. So we didn't say anything. About a week, maybe 10 days later, he comes back to me and he says, have you given any thought about becoming a catcher? I says, nope, I haven't given it any thought at all. He says, well, the people in Boston feel like if you have a chance to get to the big leagues, you're going to have to learn to catch. I said, when do we start?
Yeah.
So that changed that over. And I think that was a plus for me a little bit, because when I learned to catch, I learned to catch in a proper fashion. I didn't have a lot of bad habits to get out of.
That's right.
And Lynn Hokery made sure that I learned the proper way to do everything from the get-go on. And I played another couple of years in the minor leagues. The Red Sox signed same guy signed me by the name of George Digby, signed a guy out of Mississippi named Jerry Moses. He was a catcher.
Mm-hmm.
The difference in the two of us was $52,000 in the signing bonus.
Got it.
He's the one that got the $60,000. And all of the major leagues' attention went to him.
Yeah.
So we progressed. We played together in a couple of different leagues. And then I started to get a little better, a little better, a little better. Finally, in 1966, our catcher at Toronto, which was our AAA ball club then, got hurt. I went there the last maybe month of the season, last 4 weeks of the season. Did a little catching, did a good job. Next year, when I go to spring training, I'm stronger, much stronger as a catcher. I go back there, go back there as a catcher and did most of the catching in 1967.
Mm-hmm.
And then, in 66, and in 67, 68, and 68, 69, and 70, I was at Louisville at the AAA level again. Had terrific years there, all 3 years. My last year at the AAA level, I hit 312 or 315 at 15 or 16 home runs, playing in a huge, huge ballpark in Louisville. I go to the big leagues at the end of that year and played the rest of the year playing out in the big leagues there. One of the greatest things that ever happened to me is when I made that last one big step out of the dugout in Fenway Park. I looked up and said, "Oh, I've made it to the big leagues."
That's what I was going to ask.
I was lucky. I managed to trick them for a number of years to stay there for 10 years.
It was. I was going to ask you about that because I can remember my first minor league game and how special that was. And then last year, about not long before this time, we were at Yankee Stadium, and we were through Casey Dykes, who's one of the hitting coaches on the staff. We were able to go out on the field during BP and everything, and they walked us out through the tunnel. So like I didn't know what was happening at the time, and then I turned the corner and I looked up. And we were walking into up those steps at Yankee Stadium, and I was like, God, this is unbelievable.
that is you can't describe or really relay the feeling of that without being in that position to have gone through it.
Yeah.
For me, you could see probably the big area out in center field when you walk through the Yankee Stadium dugout. Mine, when you walked up the big steps and you come out, you went in the dugout, all you saw was the big green monster in the left field.
Wow.
And that drew a sizable smile.
I bet. Well, I mean, and again, it's not like nothing against all the other franchises and stuff, but like Boston is one of the major markets, the mecca of Major League Baseball in the United States, period. So much rich in history. God, man, it just I can't imagine. And that's the funny thing is like that was just the first day. You had to stay there, right? So,
yep, that's a different story.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Dad always both my grandfather and father, Wayne and Mickey, always said that you were actually a very smart businessman, and you kind of understood the business aspect side of it. You said your goal was to always just get a pension. And I said, dude, I got to get there. I'm going to get 10 years and get my pension in. And we'll get to the TV career after that. But like, again, how old were you when you finally got there that first time?
When I got to the big leagues?
Yes, sir.
Ooh.
Because it's been 10 years in minor leagues.
26 or 27, yeah.
And you were a seasoned professional at that point in time, I guess you could say, yeah.
And in a kind of a roundabout way, I had become seasoned at a lot of different levels.
Man. Hi, folks. I'm your man, Nick Hyder, and I just want to say a quick thank you for all of you, the millions of you tuning into the Hitstreak. We're literally getting the information from the people that have it to the people that need it by bringing on guests that everybody knows and some that not everybody knows yet. Keep listening, keep sharing, and keep leveling up with the Hitstreak. From college, the gap from high school to college was really, really big for me, but the gap from college to pro ball, it was a different game. It was a totally different game at the professional level. And again, I didn't play it at the big league level. What stood out, some of the things the most to you? The big leagues are the big leagues, and they're the only ones like it, right? So what was the biggest things that stood out to you that you noticed when you first got there, from the major leagues to the minor leagues and everything else before that?
I think my real thought was, I've gotten here now, and I've got to do something to make sure that I keep myself here. At that time, I had to have the 10 years in the big leagues to qualify pension. You know, that doesn't happen anymore.
Really?
No.
Didn't know that.
If you're there one day now, you qualify for pension. It won't be very much.
Yeah.
But you qualify for a pension.
I'm going to try out.
And we didn't have the minimum. Let's see, I want to think the minimum salary in the big leagues then, I believe, was maybe $6,000 a year.
Wow.
As you can imagine, that wouldn't quite get me through the winter.
Okay.
So when I came home, I had to find something to do.
That's crazy.
Work in the winter and work every day.
Yeah.
In the winter. There was a couple of things I did. I officiated high school basketball for a number of years. I was a private pilot. I learned to fly airplanes 1964 or 65 when I was playing winter league ball or instructional league ball in Sarasota, Florida. So I had an interest in flying, and because of that, I went to Berry Field, it was known then in Nashville, and tried to get a job with one or two of the fixed base operators over there who housed airplanes and flew airplanes and did that. I got hired by Nashville Aviation and learned how to move airplanes around, refuel airplanes. And after a couple of years with them, they went out of business. And I went down the hangar road to Nashville Flying Service and started doing the same thing with them. One of the airplanes we had in the hangar belonged to Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Yeah.
Refueled that airplane, brought it in. We would clean it after they had flown it. There was a big King Air that belonged to Life and Casualty Insurance Company. Used to refuel that. And then the last Nashville Aviation had a refueling contract with Eastern Airlines.
Okay.
So I would be a refueler. I'd go across the field and refuel DC-9s and 727s in the morning, and just had a good time doing all the same time I'm doing the officiating program with high school football. So that's what I did every winter until I finally got to the big leagues. After my first short time in the big leagues, the last maybe 30 games that I played at the end of that year, I went to the Dominican Republic and played winter league baseball. And I made more money doing that than I did playing in the U.S. So I started working on where I wanted to be with my pension.
That's right. Well, I mean, and again, 10 years, 10 years, it's a long time. 10 seasons is a long time. It goes by in a hurry. I only played for 4 or 5, but looking back, it was everything was so different when I got done. People had grown up, gotten jobs, gotten married, and it was like when I was done, I didn't have a pot to piss in or anything to show for it. And I'm looking for a job, and all my friends have already gotten married or had kids, and they've already got out of the mailroom and they're done getting coffees, and I'm just getting started. So once you get into something like that, it's almost like, man, if I don't make it here, it's going to be really hard on the other side.
Yeah, it can open up some different avenues for you. There's no question about that. And it's very time consuming.
Yeah.
It's very energy consuming to keep your mind set in an area like that will keep you keep your drive going so that you don't get disappointed too early in that streak when you're trying to get to the big leagues. Because if you get disappointed, you're done. You got to keep your goal in mind. You not only learn how to spell it, but you need to turn it into GOLD so that at some point that goal becomes gold.
That's a good one right there, baby. I'm fascinated with, in business, team building. Fascinated with it. And it's funny, it's not funny. It's obvious that there's most winning teams have certain things in common, if not all of them, and all non-winning teams don't have those things in common. You played on some really good teams, right? You got on what year? You guys were the AL champions. What year was it?
1975.
75. So
yes.
You played on the 75 AL championship team. You also played on some teams that weren't that great, probably along the line.
To be honest with you, during that stretch from 74 through 78, if we had one more just standard kind of starting pitcher, we would have won every year.
Got it.
I tell this to people a lot of times. They give me kind of a different look. They don't look at it that way so much today, I don't think. Baseball is a game of outs. It's the team that gets the 27 outs in the most effective fashion that wins. I don't need 5 or 6 runs. I only need 1 run.
That's right.
If I get the other outs right. So if we'd have had one more pitcher during that stretch, would have really put us over the top. Having said that, I was also very fortunate in the first place to have a chance to play in the big leagues. But I was fortunate to play all through the 70s when baseball had some of its very best players and very best teams playing. So I got to compete against them. I think I played with or against about 42 players that are in the Hall of Fame.
That's incredible.
So, I mean, but played against great teams like Detroit and New York, Kansas City, Oakland, and that's who we played against in 1975 to go to the World Series. There was so many good players then, and it was kind of fun to sit around and watch them play, and you try to, if he can do that, I got to figure out a way to do that.
That's right. They probably, again, there's always those people that just do things differently, and it's just incredible. So, and the strength and the speed and the size and then you put that together with somebody with some great knowledge, and man, it just changes your perspective of how you see everything. I
think your work ethic gets a little bit easier to handle once you get around those kind of players, because you can sit and watch them and what they do. Don't think you can do the same thing they do, but that doesn't mean that you don't want to work at the game to be improved and get as close to that type of player as you can make yourself.
Absolutely. So there's a cool story about how you kind of knew that you were done playing. I've heard it a couple of times. I'd like to hear it again, though. Right? So tell me how.
Which part of it did you hear?
Well, I know it was on your terms, and that's the way that you didn't quit. You finished, right? Quitters and finishers look and smell a lot alike, right? But you only get the gift when you finish.
Yeah, this was 1979.
Okay,
and I was playing a little bit more at the end of 78. And early in the season in 1979, we're playing in Cleveland. And I'm opening the season as the catcher. Fisk had got hurt a little bit in spring training, so he didn't start the season then. And we're starting on a day, it was about 36 degrees when we started the game. And by about the 4th inning, we're playing where it's a lot colder than that. Mm-hmm. And I threw out a runner, and I felt something a little funny happen in my elbow in my right arm. So I didn't think too much about it. We go back to the hotel, and my elbow, I don't know if you can see this, but my elbow is kind of swollen out to about this point.
Okay,
a couple of inches.
That's almost the size of a baseball.
Pretty close. So I kind of feel like I got a problem. Next morning, we're playing a day game again. Next morning, I get up and I go to the ballpark. Our trainer was Charlie Moss. Don Zimmer was our manager.
Okay.
So I'm going to spring training. Everything. First of all, when I didn't play much after that when I hurt the thing. I was out maybe a month or a month. It didn't get a lot better, but it didn't get any worse.
Got it.
So at the end of that season, I went to Haywood Sullivan, who was the general manager of our ball club then, and he was a former Red Sox player catcher, as a matter of fact. I said to him, I said, Sully, don't protect me on your 40-man roster. I said, I've got this elbow issue. I said, if you won't put me on the roster, just invite me to spring training and let's see what happens with it, and we'll go from there. No problem. I'm living in Winter Haven, Florida at the time.
Okay.
Which is where we had spring training. I bought a house there early in my career. I get to 2 starts, maybe 3 starts, and Zimmer said to me, "You're going to be catching against the Dodgers on Wednesday. Just do a good job, and you'll be fine." I threw out Bill Russell, who was their shortstop 2 times, had a single and a double for a base hit.
Okay.
So everything's great. I go home. I get up the next morning, and my elbow is out to where it was before.
Yeah.
This is about 7:30 in the morning. I get up, get dressed, I go to the ballpark. I go in and I see Charlie Moss. I say, Charlie, when we call Don Zimmer Popeye, I said, when Popeye gets here today, I tell him I need to see him. Will you come get me? I need to go talk to him. So he did. I go into Zim's office. He says, he said, you did a great job yesterday. He said, they're gonna give you a contract. I put my elbow up like this and I says, I can't get my elbow to bend. I don't think I'm going to be able to take care of the contract. He says, look, don't say anybody about it. Just be quiet. You can sign the contract and then we'll work on the ailment. I said, no. I don't work that way. I'm done. If you need me for anything, I'll be at the golf course enjoying myself playing golf until I find something else to do. And that's how that ended. The Red Sox called me a couple of days later, wanted me to come in for a meeting, wanted to know if I'd be interested in a coaching job, doing this or doing that. I had no interest in that whatsoever.
How come? Why not?
I had gotten tired of getting on and off airplanes, getting off of something at 4:30, 3:30, changing a different hotel today, different hotel over there. Just I think at the time I was 37 years old. I was single. I needed to I was at a point where I needed to find something else to do. Even if I had been okay that year, probably I could have only played one more year.
Right.
Anyway. So that's where I went with that. About, I'd say maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks after that, I can't remember his name, a gentleman called me from WITS Radio, which did the Red Sox broadcast, and he asked me would I be interested in coming to work for them. And I says, I don't know, doing what? He says, look, he said, let me fly down and let's talk about it. I said, okay. I don't have anything to lose. I got nothing else to do.
Yep.
So he comes down, he starts talking to me. Would I do this, do that? He says, Ken Coleman is our head of radio now, so he's going to retire in 2 years. And we'd like to have you come along and learn to fill into the color spot when his partner at that time was a guy named John Miller, who became one of the really high-end baseball announcers ever. He says he's going to move over, and we'd like to have you ready to be the assistant announcer, color announcer with him.
Wow.
I said, okay, how do we do this? He said, when the season starts, we'll have you come in to the station every day. I worked with two writers who had a talk show, a lead-in talk show, named Cliff Keen and Larry Claflin. I had no business being on the talk show with them. These two guys were absolutely brilliant. They knew everything about all the sports. They covered baseball the whole time, but I was in the studio with them every day.
Yeah.
And then when that was over every day, they gave me a tape recorder. I would go to Fenway Park and sit in one of the empty booths and do the game on the tape. Announce the game on the tape, and I kind of did it from hearing other guys do it.
Yep.
I would turn it in. They would listen to it, make suggestions. I do this and do that. I did that for 2 years.
Okay.
I had my own talk show for a little over a year and a half, on Saturday and Sunday. Did a pregame show and then a postgame show on Saturday. I wasn't really crazy about that. I mean, it was part of what I had to do, but I did it. And then when it was time for Ken Coleman to retire and me to step into that spot, he changed his mind. He didn't want to retire.
Wow.
So,
wow.
I'm looking around now, what do I do now? At the same time, Ken Harrelson was the color analyst on WSBK TV 38, which carried the Red Sox games. He had given up his spot to go join Don Drysdale in Chicago to do their games.
Okay.
TV 38 calls me. I go in for an interview. I go in for the second interview, and I wound up doing that job. That's how I got the TV job.
Wow.
I originally worked with Ned Martin, who was really an outstanding, super guy.
Yeah.
And then after maybe, I think it was 6 years, I started to work with Sean McDonough, who we know now is a very, very big name and doing all kinds of not only baseball, but football and hockey, basketball. He does it all.
Man.
So at the end of that time, or during that time, there was another start up of a company called New England Sports Network. It was known as Nesson, still known as Nesson today.
Mm-hmm.
They started doing baseball games on a cable format. After the second year I was in there working for WSBK.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work because at that time, nobody in Boston could see the game. Boston wasn't wired for cable.
Got it.
Nobody could see the games. They could see the games in upstate New York, Utah, out in Canada, but that was it.
Wow.
Excuse me. So they decided that they were going to have Ned and I do WSBK games and Nesson games. So we did that, I think maybe for 4 years or 5 years before they decided to split the announcers up, and that's the way that story went.
Bob, is it safe to say, like, as a young man, as a child and a young man, Major League Baseball was the destination that you're going to, but it sounds to me like you kind of, when did you know, you did TV for 14, 15 years. You did that longer and you played in the big leagues. As a matter of fact, all the people that I know from the Northeast, they know Monty, the color commentator. Oh, yeah, we loved him, dude. He was the voice of the Red Sox. A lot of them forget that there was the 10 years of a player.
To be honest with you, I had a lot of fun doing the coverage of the Red Sox at that capacity. The 4 or 5 years that I worked with Ned, he insisted that I do the fourth inning and the seventh inning in play-by-play. And so I'd already had a lot of experience on the tape recorder.
Yeah.
But he taught me other things, how to handle the play-by-play and go back and forth. We didn't talk. This is a real pet peeve of mine today.
Okay.
We didn't talk all the time on TV like they talk now.
Right.
They never shut up now. As a fan, they don't give the fan enough time to think about on their own what's going on in the game or telling them what they might look for to see what's going to happen in the game. It's just a change things thing. We would have, I would say, moderate, quiet time where the fan could watch the picture of what was going on for themselves and make a judgment. If there was something that needed extra coverage, obviously we always had the replays of it. And I would never, ever use the term, watch this.
Okay.
They're watching TV. Of course they're watching it. They're going to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a lot of fun. I made a lot of adjustments over the years doing the television because of Ned more than anything else. And then when I obviously switched over and started working with Sean McDonough, I didn't do the fourth and seventh inning of play-by-play anymore. I was just strictly a color guy on the broadcast.
Are you ready to take your brand digital? At HitLab Creative, we don't just make content. We build your digital foundation from the ground up. So whether you're launching a podcast, creating scroll-stopping social media content, or building a website that actually converts, we connect all the dots. Visit hitlabstudio.com/studio-time and let's build something that lasts. Because the Hit Lab is where digital strategy meets data-driven content creation. I noticed something. I'm always studying everybody that's really good at speaking on a microphone or TV. I want to get good too, right? So to be able to do stuff like this. And there was a bit with when Bob Uecker passed recently, who I was a huge fan of. I was going back and watching like Tonight Show appearances that he did because he was hilarious. Well, one of the things that he did, Bob, was he did a mimic of a play-by-play. But I noticed the breath. All of his breaths were on purpose. Like they were timed, they were on purpose. He was speaking from a certain spot that wasn't his normal talking voice. It was a thing. You've been doing it here with us today. Like I can hear the TV. I can still hear you on TV. You just go into that mode the moment the microphone pops up, you know. But it is a skill. Like at what point in time was this something that you kind of fell into? Did you decide, man, like I like this and I'm gonna get good at it?
Oh, I enjoyed it. I obviously anything I do, I wanted to be good at. When I learned to be a pilot, I wanted to be one of the best pilots. So I didn't put the airplane upside down. I could always get out of it.
Yeah.
They always used to say, any landing you walk away from was a great landing. And I always wanted to keep that thought in mind. But when you start to do that, and as a player, I always wanted to get better as a player. Well, at this time when I was doing the television, I wanted to get better at it. I wanted to get good at it. And you bring up a guy's name was really, really one of the nicest, funniest guys I ever met in Bob Uecker. He was absolutely a funny man.
Man, I didn't know you got to meet him. I never did.
He was working in Milwaukee when I was doing TV in Boston. Okay. He was doing their radio and television. Oh, what a delightful man to be around.
Man,
if you were around him for 10 minutes, you'd laugh for 20 because after you left him, you'd still be thinking about what he said.
Well, he's one in a million. Do you have any experience with him that stands out? Like I love stories like this.
No, we'd always get together before the game. Their booth wasn't too far from ours when we were in Milwaukee doing games. I remember Ned and I are getting ready to do our opening one day, and we're out on they had a big balcony kind of thing in Milwaukee, and we would go out there to do the opening because the camera on the first base side could shoot us to do the opening. And we're out there, we're getting ready. And Uecker is in a booth that's maybe 8 feet from us.
Yeah.
And a airplane goes by pulling an advertising banner.
Okay.
Uecker looks down and says, "Monty, there goes your charter on the way home for the night." I mean, just stuff like that. I mean, he always when he did, what was the movie? Major League?
Yeah.
Oh, that ball was just a bit outside?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it was about 1.5 feet outside.
Ball 12 tried the corner and missed.
Yeah. Yeah, and he came up with a great thing when his health got bad. I'm sure you've heard this. He had this great line, and I'm not sure how close he was to leaving us at the time. He said, I don't mind dying. I just don't want to be there. So he's one of the really terrific guys that I met during the years.
One of those generational talents that, like, you know, you wonder when you don't realize you're looking at the next one until they're probably halfway through the journey. You know, we always talk about Einstein and Tesla, and now we've got Elon Musk type thing, right? You
would kind of take a guy like Uecker for granted because that's the way he was.
Yeah.
And he wasn't he was not a very good player. I didn't play against him. He was finished playing before I came to the big leagues, but he'd be the first one to tell you that he wasn't a very good player. But when he did all the he did the TV show for a long time. I don't remember the name of the TV show.
Was it? I think it was Mr. Belvedere.
That sounds right.
That was a big one.
Yeah, and just a lot of that stuff. I don't think he did it off of a script. I think it just kind of come off of his head.
Man, let's just stop right there for a second, Bob. So, like, you mentioned Don Zimmer, who's one of the greatest to ever do it. Like, I don't know if I've ever heard this before. So, who are the guys that made the biggest impacts on you on your way up in your journey? You could start from people in Nashville, Tennessee, or people like Don Zimmer, Don is legendary in the game of baseball.
Well, the biggest impact. Mm-hmm. Well, I'd go back again to my dad. There's no question about that. Another impact that was important to me was Lynn Oakley, who got me to change into becoming a catcher. And then as I got better and got better and got better, when I got to the AAA level, there was a manager there who was named Eddie Casco, mm-hmm. who was an outstanding shortstop for Cincinnati. And he taught me a lot. Although he was a shortstop, he taught me a lot about calling games on top of what Lynn Oakley had taught me.
Okay.
And I played for Casco that year in Louisville. Then he went to the big leagues. Then the first manager I played, first 2 years, I played for him in the big leagues, and then him the first year I played there. So he was certainly a big impact on me. Don Zimmer was definitely an impact.
What was he like?
Funny. Really, really a funny guy. He there was nothing that was, this is the only way to do it.
Yeah.
There was all kinds of different varieties, which we don't see very much in baseball today because analytics kind of taken over to a great extent. But back then, managers made all the decisions. When catchers called games then, or during that time, catchers and pitchers called games. There was no, you do this when that happens, you do this when that happens. Today, I'm not sure who calls the games, but whoever's doing a job calling the games today, in my estimation, are not doing a particularly great job at it. There's too many odd situations. I see too many situations where a pitcher will get a guy 1 ball and 2 strikes, mm-hmm. or no balls and 2 strikes, and before you know it, the count's 3-2.
Yeah.
We didn't do it that way, my friend. Didn't happen. If you were behind in the count 1-2 and 0-2, you better be ready.
Yeah.
A guy might miss with a pitch, but he's going to miss just by a little bit, not by a whole lot. So I had a lot of guys that were instrumental in helping me not only get to the big leagues, but stay in the big leagues once I got there.
What was staying power is so important in anything that you do, man. What is it like? What are the common traits that what was taught to you that allowed you to stay for so long? Because again, you were a very crucial role. I
did what I was told.
There you go. There you go. And you do it well, right? You do what you're told and do it well.
You learn. I mean, you learn to write, and then you think a little bit about, is this a situation I need to do that, or what can I do to fix this situation? Or how can I make that a little bit better? I'll give you a story I told. This is after I had retired from playing. I'm doing television. And we would fly with the team wherever they were going. They would allow us to fly on the charters with them. And Bruce Hurst was one of my favorite guys in the big leagues.
Okay.
Left-hand pitcher, very good, had good control. And he pitched it along the same time at Roger Clemens. They had a pretty good 1-2 combination.
No kidding.
And we're playing golf one day, which I used to play a lot of golf when I was doing the announcing because I didn't play baseball anymore. I could get away with playing golf. We're playing one day, and I said to Bruce, I said, I got something I wish you would try or think about trying, and I think it'll help you a little bit. I said, once you get a guy in a hole, 1 ball, 2 strikes, and no balls, 2 strikes, he's a hitter. If he's a right-hand hitter especially, you need to throw the ball inside on him. And I said, I'm not talking about throwing it inside an inch or 2 inches off the plate. I'm talking about you throwing it inside where he's got to move his feet. He said, well, what's that going to do? I said, it's going to give you about an extra 6 inches on the outside part of the plate because you've put that thought in his mind.
Man.
He couldn't thank me enough at the end of that season by doing that. And I saw him recently at a thing at Fenway Park. The first thing he walked over and said to me, I still throw that ball inside, even today.
That's right, man. I agree with you, especially on the 0-2-1-2 stuff. It's kind of like if you're a fighter and you got a guy on the ropes, you're going to back off and give him a shot, right?
No,
you know what I
mean? No.
You punch.
That's
right.
If the tailgate's open, I'm letting it go, buddy.
Bob, are there anything Fenway Park? I've been there a handful of times, and it's the history, man. It's just so rich, and you just when you're in there, it's just that you feel like you've gone into another place. What's something about Fenway Park, a secret that only a player would know? Is there anything?
Well,
it's such a historic place. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it is. Obviously, I never saw Ted Williams play there, but there's a lot of stories you always hear about Williams did this or Williams did that. They had the seat way out in right field where it was painted in a red color, way up behind the bleachers. Supposedly, that's where Williams hit a home run one day and it landed.
Wow.
I can't dispute it. I can't agree with it. I didn't see it, but I was told that many times. I saw Yaz make a lot of great plays off the wall in left field. I saw Dwight Evans make catches in that ballpark that visiting right-handers or visiting right fielders wouldn't make in 100 years if they had it. And one of the, I'll see if I can jog your memory if you get this. In 1975 in the World Series, Game 6.
Okay.
We had a guy named Carlton Fisk was the catcher.
Yep.
We played extra innings against Cincinnati. Bernie Carbo would hit a home run early in that game to tie the score. Fisk hits a home run. It's extra innings now. He hits the home run. The ball hits the foul pole in left field. I don't know if you've seen the thing, you remember. He's going down the line like waving this way.
Yeah.
That shot came out of the left field scoreboard that had an opening in it. There was a camera in there.
I didn't know that.
The reason that cameraman had that shot because he went off and left the camera locked. He was getting away from a group of rats that had come inside the scoreboard. Let it be done. That's the reason that shot came about. But there's so many. I saw Jim Rice do a tremendous amount of playing there. I just saw, and I saw, as I mentioned earlier, I'd seen so many Hall of Fame players not only play there, but come there and play as visitors just to do really, really great things. And then just the simple history of the ballpark, and they've added on to it now, obviously, over the years. I think at one point, when I got to the big leagues, I want to think the place probably only seated 28,000 people.
Really?
And they've enlarged it as much as they can now. And I think now maybe it holds 35 or 36,000.
Yeah.
But there was no bleacher seats above the left field wall then. If you hit the ball over the left field screen and over the green monster, which that net obviously is not there anymore. But if you hit it over that, it went into a parking lot that was behind the ballpark in left field. And you didn't hit the ball out of the ballpark to right field. It was just way, way, way too far. I have another nice memory about the park.
Okay.
In the wintertime, the Red Sox had me hired, me and Johnny Pesky. We would call on season ticket holders, not to sell the season tickets, but just to call on them to see if they were happy with their seats or if they want to improve them. Well, when they put in the electronic big screen scoreboard in center field, Fenway Park was the second park in baseball to do that. The Los Angeles Dodgers was the first.
Got it.
When they put that scoreboard in there, or the big teleprompter, whatever you want to call it, in there, it was after the 75 World Series. They had Johnny Pesky and I go out and call on customers to buy advertising on that big sign. We sold the first advertising on that sign to Coca-Cola.
No way.
So that's another famous, oh, not famous. That was another thing that I remember about the ballpark in particular.
We were, Bob, I did this because you just said that's it was like a first. Where were we at? I don't remember. I want to say my wife and I were on a cruise ship and we went to trivia, the trivia night thing. And I'll be dang if they didn't ask who was the last major league player to bat in a game without a helmet. And it was you. Yeah,
I got hit.
But that's a true story. You are the last Major League Baseball player to hit in a game.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So they asked the question, and I'm over there hitting my wife's leg. I'm like, I can't believe it. They're asking a question about Bob. She was like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Bob, our cousin Bob. They're talking about him." She's like, "Really? That's cool." So you were talking about selling the first advertisement on that scoreboard and being and then that all of a sudden I remember he was the last player to hit without a helmet.
I did not like helmets at all. The ones the hard plastic ones.
Yeah.
I didn't wear a hard helmet like that. I wore a little thin fiber helmet that had a foam thing around it that went inside the hat.
I think they ate ice cream out of those in the concessions.
Yeah. Then when I came to the big leagues, I'm trying to think what year they changed them. 52 or 53, somewhere along in there. Don Zimmer got hit in the head.
Okay.
After that is when they put the rule in that hitters had to start wearing a helmet.
Got it.
Okay. When I came to the big leagues in 1970, there were two other guys in baseball that wore that type of helmet that I wore, Norm Cash and Tony Taylor.
Okay.
In 1972, they changed the rule in Major League Baseball that said that hitters from that point on who came to the big leagues had to wear the hard helmet.
Mm.
They grandfathered me, Cash, and Taylor in so we could continue to wear them. Those guys are retired, and then I was the last guy that was allowed to wear that. 75, they changed the rule again that said the batter had to wear a helmet with a cheek piece that faced the pitcher.
Yeah.
And obviously I was still grandfathered into that. But people asked me that other time. I said, look, they don't throw at 200, 230 hitters. I was perfectly safe. No problem.
Well, I'm still just, amazed at, 10 years in the spot that you did, understanding what you wanted.
Sometimes I'm amazed.
Well, I mean, hey man, you did it, and you're 10 years getting out of it what you wanted out of it, but also you got to be a really great, care a whole lot about the team to look, there's the number one and there's the number two, and arguably one of the greatest to ever do it was number one right there. and you found a spot, and it was one of those things where when you look at your stats, they're really, if over the course of a big league career, you had great stats, man. You know what I mean? They weren't,
I don't know about great, but they were all right.
Well, they were every day everywhere else except for the Red Sox. They were every day.
I had a
stats.
couple of years in there where I hit over 300.
Mm-hmm.
I had some pretty good years. Well, I think it was 1972, maybe, or 73. I hit 7 home runs in that year. And I didn't do a lot of playing in those years. And my first television announcing partner, Ned Martin, used to call me Hank Aaron because I used to hit all the home runs all the time.
Yeah.
He says, yeah, you're going to catch Aaron, don't worry. Well, obviously we knew that wasn't going to happen. It was a big joke. But I had once I realized that Carlton Fisk was going to be the everyday catcher, I made up my mind that I was going to be the best backup catcher in the big leagues.
That's what I'm getting at.
And I think I can pretty well not over-pat myself on the back, but between Fisk and myself, we had the best catching combination in the big leagues for a long time.
Agreed.
Nobody else really come close. There were other catchers that matched up with Fisk, but the backup guys didn't match up with me with what I did.
No, and it's as a fierce competitor. That's what I'm saying. It's such a rare trait to have somebody that just to get there, you had to fight tooth and nail,
and you had to keep working to stay there.
That's right. That's what I'm saying.
Today, you don't don't have as much player movement as we had then. If you were playing through a stretch and you weren't doing well then, they'd send you to minor leagues. There was no, here, give me another guy. Today, it's a little tougher to do that because of the contracts that the players have. Not to take anything away from today's players, because they're still really very, very good.
Right.
And they're certainly economically a lot better than any of us when we played then. But we were just a strong team in that department.
Are you ready to transform your business and unlock new revenue streams? At Processing First, we empower our partners with cutting-edge payment solutions and unparalleled support. By leveraging our extensive network of banking partners, we match you with the ideal bank to ensure that you receive the most competitive rates and deliver an exceptional experience for both you and your customers. Visit processingfirst.com to learn more and join our growing community of successful partners. Outside of Fenway, what was the coolest and favorite stadium that you enjoyed playing in the most?
Oh, that's a bit of a tough one. I always enjoyed going to Kansas City.
Yep.
I loved the town. I loved when I first went to Kansas City, they were still playing in the old ballpark.
Okay.
The old one. And the old one was monstrous.
Yeah.
Not too pretty. The new one they built, they had big waterfalls in it and all that. They built right next to where the Chiefs play football.
Okay.
So they had the double combination of the football and baseball stadium there. I think of all the ballparks that I went to, Anaheim, California, had the overall prettiest ballpark. It was well designed. It was obviously newer designed, and they had something there that you couldn't make up. The ballpark was open in center field. It was only built like a C, and the center field, it was all open. And in straightaway center field, when you looked out far enough, you could see a mountain with snow on top of it.
Wow.
And I'm thinking to myself one day, I'm down there playing baseball and there's snow up there. There's something wrong with this picture here. Then not too long after that, the Los Angeles Rams moved their football games down to that stadium, and they had to enclose the ballpark to put more seats in there for football.
Wow.
But those two ballparks were really, really special to me. Plus, Kansas City was a good town to go to, a nice city to go to. When we were staying in Anaheim, we stayed right across the street from Disneyland.
Wow. Okay.
There was a lot of fond visual memories of playing in those ballparks.
I bet. I got to go to Old Yankee Stadium one time. I've been to both stadiums. The old one was just different. The old one just hit different.
I agree with you. That was another ballpark. To be honest with you, I kind of like playing in there. I hit rather well in there. I remember the first time I went into Yankee Stadium, I come out of the clubhouse and I went right out to right field and stood and looked up to where Mickey Mantle supposedly hit the ball that went off the top of the facing.
Yeah, right.
And I'm looking, and I got my neck hung. I couldn't move it from where he actually hit the ball.
Yeah.
And then my next steps that day were right to center field to where they had the monuments in Yankee Stadium. So I was talking about history. My goodness gracious. That's tough.
Oh, yeah.
And New York at that time was a great city to visit.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. What was it like? You were in the same area when Mr. October was doing all that stuff and everything else. Did you ever have any? This is a selfish question. I just want to know what were some of the special relationships that you had with other guys on other teams that maybe maybe you played with them in the minor leagues or came up with them or whatever else. Anybody that stood out?
I used to spend some time with Al Kaline.
Okay.
We used to play in some off-season golf events for a couple of different companies.
Well, there's a whole episode just around that. So.
He's just a terrific guy. Brooks Robinson.
Oh wow.
Was another terrific guy. There wasn't. I probably could think for a long time to come up with maybe a few more in there.
Yeah.
But there were those two guys are the guys that quickly and strongly come to my memory.
You mentioned Yaz earlier. He's got a boy that's playing.
Yes.
No,
not a boy, grandson.
Grandson. That's right. Grandson. So, I guess you've seen both of them in person. Have you seen grandson play yet?
Not in person.
Not in person. No. I know Yaz was incredible. I was just curious how he gets compared. Unfortunately or fortunately, he gets compared. That's a big shadow to live in.
Well, yeah, he can't. He's not the same type of player that Yaz was. Yaz was one of the hardest working guys.
Okay.
That I ever saw as a teammate, and he kind of put that down to a lot of players like Jim. He made Jim Rice the kind of hardworking guy that he was. Fred Lynn, Dwight Evans, all those guys saw the way he played, the way he performed. It was easy for him to pass that message along to them because they had the talent that he had, and by his work habits, he put that into them and made them better players.
Well, during that stretch you were there, those are some of the greatest Red Sox teams in their history, right? Was he the guy that was kind of who was the catalyst of that? The Yankees had Derek Jeter during that time that kind of like set the culture and the standard for how they did things. Who was y'all's guy?
I think Yaz certainly would be at the top of that list. I played with another terrific guy named Rico Petrocelli.
Okay.
Another very, very hard-working guy. I remember one year in spring training, when I first went to spring training, Rico was playing Double-A baseball then. Mm-hmm. We were in Ocala, Florida. He took ground balls at shortstop from a coach that would hit him fungos all morning long. He would come in and do batting practice and then go back to shortstop and take more ground balls. That stuck in my mind for a long, long time. The amount of not only work that he put in it, but the ethic that he put in it. And he did it wasn't once or twice a week. I'm talking about every day. Jim Rice was a very hard worker. Fred Lynn was a very hard worker, as was Dwight Evans. All those guys were. George Scott was a hard worker. That organization, I think, probably had the right number and right kind of players that just kind of flowed down to the younger players and the new guys that came to the big leagues.
Absolutely. Was there? I think you already got that one for me. So I was going to ask you, who was your favorite teammate? I think you've kind of led to that a couple of times. Was there anybody that really stood out to you that just or actually, who are you still in touch with today? I'd love to know. Anybody?
I had a couple of guys. Louis Tiant was really a fabulous teammate. Very, very, very funny guy. You would never hear the same thing come out of him twice, and he was. He called me Mr. Ed all the time.
How come?
Ed the talking horse.
Okay.
That was me.
Yep.
Early in my career, we had roommates. You didn't have single rooms when you were on a road trip. I roomed with Rick Miller. He used to call me Mr. Ed. He'd call Miller Pony. Who else would have been in there? Yaz, of course, was a strong teammate. Rice was a guy that I spent a tremendous amount of time with, not only during the time I played in the big leagues, but after when I was traveling with them playing, doing the TV. He and I used to play a lot of golf together.
Yeah,
a lot of golf together. When I was still active as a player, and when I was still inactive as a player, and he was active as a player. Bob Stanley was a great teammate. I talked to Bob Stanley perhaps once a week, if not once every 10 days. I'll give you a story about Rice if you like it.
Bring it.
Harrelson is doing the television coverage then, and he loved to play golf. We all loved to play golf. Rice had never played golf.
Okay.
Rice was he's probably the strongest guy I ever saw play as a teammate, certainly as a visiting guy. I thought Bo Jackson might have been close to as strong as Rice.
Really?
Rice, yes. But Rice, unbelievably strong.
Wow, Bo was incredible.
Oh, well, yeah, so was Rice.
Yeah.
We're playing in Baltimore on a road trip, and we couldn't carry clubs on a road trip when you're playing baseball in the big leagues. But Harrelson could. So we would put a putter or maybe a wedge in his bag, and we would borrow a set of clubs wherever we were going to play at the shop. Rice and Harrelson would have a driving contest.
Mm-hmm.
I would go to play golf.
Okay.
So I would always hit first. Both these guys could hit it, I mean, big time. I'm talking about 280, 300 yards then.
Yeah.
I would hit first. Hawk would hit second. And this is the way this went all the time. In Baltimore, I hit. Hawk hits his ball, kills it. He hands the driver over to Rice and says, "Here, catch that big guy." Rice gets set up to it, steps up, gets his swing up here, starts down, and torques the shaft.
Oh, my
Broke
God.
the shaft.
No way.
Broke the shaft right out of the driver.
Wow.
So that was the last time Hawk let him use his driver because he obviously had to get that one repaired. But we used to do a lot of probably a lot of things that we shouldn't have been doing.
Sure.
But Rice had a good friend. Actually, he was a mutual friend, but Rice was a lot closer to him than I was. That ran a limousine company all over the United States called Fifth Avenue Limousine. We'd go on road trips. He would call and make. I knew a lot of golf pros around the country. I left this out early in my off season after I got to the big leagues. For 3 winters in a row, I played golf on the mini tour in Florida.
That's right. I heard that.
Yeah. I was, to be honest with you, I was a lot better golfer than I was baseball player.
Really?
Yeah, no question. But at any rate, I would call and get a place for us to play. Rice would have the car, pick us up. We'd go play. The car would either wait for us or it would come back at a certain time. We would never have lunch at any place we played. We'd always come right back to the hotel.
Okay.
So it seemed like every time we'd come back, it'd be around noontime. So finally I said to Jimmy, this went on for maybe a year, 2 years. I said, "Jimmy, why do we always have to be back at the hotel by noontime?" He says, "Monty, I'm a big fan of the soap operas and I ain't missing them."
Oh, my gosh. That whole time.
That was it.
That whole time. That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. Tell me, so, raising a family, raising a family when you're somebody, it's different. It's a little different. You're in the public eye. I know that like your daughter and granddaughter are out there today, and they're just absolutely amazing. I know you're proud as can be. Her and I are very close to the same age. What was it like? Them being, were you guys ever put in uncomfortable situations because people love and hate you because you were known? What was it like? What was it like raising kids as somebody?
I was not married while I was playing.
Okay.
I was a single guy all that time. Shortly after I retired, I ran into this very, very pretty lady who became her mother. Mm-hmm. She was a flight attendant for Eastern Airlines.
Okay.
Shortly after we got married, Lauren got into the picture. Now, I'm doing television now.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
So I'm still traveling back and forth. And don't forget that I just said her mother was a flight attendant for Eastern Airlines. So we had a lot of things going on that had to do with flying in airplanes and not being at home.
Yeah.
Her grandmother was a terrific, terrific lady. Her mother was absolutely, absolutely outstanding. And to be able to do that along that time with both of us traveling, her mother was really, really, really a sharp lady, a very hard worker, very sharp at what she did. And then she got hurt one afternoon on a flight and had to retire. She hurt her back, had to retire from flying. So that got her more in not a better mothering situation, because she was always already terrific. And then her mother was really, really sharp about teaching her the right way and the good things to do. And fortunately, Lauren grasped them well and hung on to them.
Yeah.
She was a very good student. As she got a little bit older, she became a pretty good athlete. She played different sports at 2 different private schools. She's a very good basketball player, terrific field hockey player. She wound up going to Quinnipiac University on a field hockey scholarship, which saved me and her mother a lot of money.
That's right.
She's terrific. She graduated from there. She has a master's degree in master's in criminology.
Yep.
And she, for, I think maybe 23 years now, 24 years, has been a police officer. She's now a detective at MIT.
Yep.
In Cambridge. And she is the same kind of mother to my granddaughter as her mother was to her.
That's great.
Very, very instructive, very helpful. She's great with helping her with her homework and getting to understand and do all the things that it makes it really delightful for me to look back and think about her mother and then the mother she became, and then having a chance to have lived and enjoyed all that.
Absolutely. My dad told me in a message I just got a minute ago, he said, you got to ask Bob about his love for trains, because you mentioned flying. So we've got planes and trains. So you're two out of the 3 of the big movie, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, right? So tell me about, I know you have a lot of model trains, right?
Well, not anymore, but I did. Yeah.
Okay.
About the 3rd year into my big league career, it looked like I was going to stay around the area for a while. So I lived in, I shared an apartment with a guy named Ed Clevin in Brookline, which wasn't too far from Fenway Park. We rarely ever spent time together. Ed Clevin worked for Dionne Warwick.
Okay.
And we met through a mutual friend. He was gone half the time in the winter, gone just about all the time in the winter, and I was gone just about all the time in the summer. So it was a great roommate situation, and we kept that situation for 3 years. And I decided it was going to be around. I bought a condominium out in Dedham, and it had a full basement in it. And I'd always liked model trains. So I built myself a model railroad in the basement. And I met a wonderful man out in Anaheim, as a matter of fact, who was in the model railroad industry that made modeling kits.
Okay.
We became friends. As my years went along in the condo, the train got bigger and bigger, and I met new guys around the area. We kept on going. And then I moved out of that, and I didn't have a train layout for a while because I had to take care of that. Lauren's mother and I bought a house in Saugus, Massachusetts, and that had a great, great big room in it. I built another model railroad in there. At the time, I started collecting in-scale cars.
Okay.
In-scale is 1/120th scale. Nobody's going to know what that means, but a 40-foot in-scale boxcar would be probably 4 inches long.
Okay.
Okay. There were another company called Atlas that did cars. Atlas also made engines. To get to the end of the story, I had to get rid of the model railroad in that house because Lauren came back and lived in the house with us, so I had to change it into a living quarters. But over the years, I had built up a collection, listen closely, of 3,200 microtrains cars.
Holy cow.
Never been on a track, never run. They were all, and these pieces were made in limited runs when they made them.
Yep.
And to go along with that, I had about 230 engines. So I hung on to those for a while, and about 3 years ago, I think 3 years or 4 years ago, I sold them all to one individual.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But I really I had a lot of really, really good buddies and good friends in the model railroad business, or not business, railroad hobby.
Yeah.
Still talk to some of them today.
That's cool.
Although I kind of miss the model railroad end. It was kind of nice.
Yeah.
But what am I going to do with 3,200 cars running around in a plastic case? They were never on a track. They would never run.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So that made them a little more valuable. But
That's cool,
it was great. It was interesting. I learned a lot about railroading. Obviously.
Yeah, absolutely, no doubt.
It was just it was something to do with my spare time, extra time.
Hey, pardon this quick interruption, but it's a good one. You're listening to this ad right now, which means someone else could be listening to your ad in this exact spot. Go to nickhyder.com/contact-me or click the link in the show notes to get started. Let's put your brand in the spotlight right where it belongs. Again, your work was loud. It had a lot of pressure, had a lot of opinions at it. That's just a place to go escape and,
very well put. Yes.
Figure things out.
Yep.
Everybody's got to have those places where it's quiet there, but it's loud in here.
That's a good description. A nice escape spot.
Yeah,
good.
Absolutely. Yep. Did you ever so you went, you played, were your plans to come back? When did you decide Boston was home? Like, how did it become home for you was it because that's where the family was raised? How'd that play out?
What I did in the work thing after I got connected to Boston, I played there, of course, all summer long, and then I worked for the ball club in the wintertime. When I stopped doing that, I was doing the radio, and then I did the television, so that was all connected with that. And then when my television time was over, I had to obviously find something else to do. I started working for a model railroad manufacturer who lived close to me. I worked for him in his shop there, did a lot of stuff. I also, through a meeting in that man's store, met a man who worked for a company called Unison Incorporated. And people wouldn't know who this company is by their name. But if you go through an airport and I don't know if you see so many of them anymore because LED's kind of taken over.
Yeah.
But at one time there were great big backlit transparencies. That's what this company did. They were big signs. And also what they did, they had a printing business that did, how can I best describe? If you went to a hockey rink and you saw the ads on the kickboards, they printed those.
Got it.
They hired me to do the sporting goods part of their industry. I used to do the signs for the Boston Bruins in Boston.
Okay.
Then for the Buffalo Bisons, I think they are, Buffalo Bills, Buffalo Bisons, the hockey team. I did it for the New Jersey hockey team, and I did it for a couple of minor league hockey teams around the area. So I did that for a couple of years, and then what did I do after that? I don't know. I got into the marketing and what would I call it? Marketing promotion business.
Yep.
Where I did a lot of apparel, a lot of different things like. Mouse pads were big in those days.
Yeah.
Do all the people would come on. They decorate mouse pads and use them for ads and
that's right.
Pins. Do baseball hats, all that stuff. Did that for a number of years, and then when COVID came along, I was into my working time then.
There you go. Well, it's just, again, I'm always just. the athletes today, the ones that make it, they really don't have to do a lot when they're done. And it's, and I have the pleasure of working with some of them today, and they live a different world than we live in. There's not a lot of pressure on them anymore, unless they are not smart or they don't know how to manage their portfolios and things. But, back then it was a little bit different. I know even, at the small scale that I played in, when I would come back here, all the youth players, I was the pro guy, and there wasn't a lot of us running around town. I was somebody, yet I was poor, So,
oh, yeah.
And that's hard.
I know the feeling, my friend. I know the feeling.
That's hard to do.
I don't want to blow this way out of proportion. I don't want you to take this as a complaint, because it certainly isn't. I'm tickled to death for him. A first-year player in the major leagues today, first-year player, makes more in 1 year than I made 10 years as a player and 3 years doing television.
That's nuts, isn't it?
So I think the base salary is something like $762,000 a year.
And it was like $400 just a few years ago.
Yeah, they've done quite well and good for them.
Yeah,
I'm tickled to death for them.
It probably wasn't a good look for the Red Sox, for their one of the main guys in their clubhouse for 10 years to have to go work in the off season. It probably wasn't a good look for them at some point.
That was when I was active as a player. You knew you had to work in the wintertime. There was no two ways around it. You had to, unless you were one of the higher end players where you made a considerable amount of more money. But otherwise, you worked 8 months doing baseball and 4 months doing something else.
Yeah. Did you? I don't even know if I know this. When I played, you didn't get paid for spring training.
Oh no.
Yeah.
The only thing you got paid for in spring training was whatever meal money you got.
Yeah, per diem. Yeah.
Yeah. That's it, my man.
That was about it. Yeah.
And you better not go over the top eating, or you'd run out of money with that.
Yeah, I didn't know how to manage. Bob, when I was my second or third full year playing, I literally had a gigantic jar of crunchy peanut butter, and that was all I ate for about 4 days. That's all I had.
I understand it.
Yeah.
I got you.
Man, it's crazy. All right. What else? As this sucker begins to come, is there anything that I don't know? Any other stories that are popping up in your mind as we get to the end of this thing right here? I'm about to run through my notes and make sure I did my job and I covered everything. Is there anything?
I don't know. Actually,
I got to ask you about Nashville. Nashville's blown. I mean, doesn't even. Golly.
Last year I came down to visit my brother Gerald for a couple of days in the summertime, and before that I hadn't been back here for a long time.
Was it your dad's funeral? Was the last time you were back?
Yes,
that was the last time I saw you.
Yeah, and then there wasn't a lot of running around viewing and all that stuff. When I came back here last summer, I couldn't grasp the different skyline that I was seeing here, and the different actions that I was seeing here. And then when I come back this time, I'm still amazed.
Yeah,
I'm just amazed at how much of a change that this town has gone over to. And then all of a sudden, before we went on the air, I happen to remember the last time I really spent any time here was about 50 years ago. So there was enough time for them to make some changes.
That's right. Well, what year did your dad pass? Did Carl pass? Ooh. Do you remember? I was very young. I couldn't have been 10 years old. It had to have been. So I was born in 80. So he passed away in the 80s, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
And it's so, just to tell you kind of the impact that our family's had on me. First of all, your brother Gerald is like one of my he's one of my heroes. Like, I don't even know if he knows that, but he was always just so good at everything.
Yes, very good.
At everything. Golf and whatever else, but more than anything, he was tougher than anybody I'd ever met, man. And it was kind of mean, but in all the right ways. You know what I mean? It was just tough.
Because he was tough. That's how he got hurt playing baseball. He didn't throw like blinding speed fast.
Yeah.
He had great control. He had a very good curveball.
Yeah.
And he really knew how to pitch. And playing in the minor, I think he was playing in Oneonta, New York. And he's playing for a manager that really overtook the advantage of him because he threw a lot of strikes and because he could get a lot of guys out. They used him in relief.
Got it.
In the middle part of a game. And he didn't think about maybe calling me to ask me what he should do, what he shouldn't do. This manager used him like 6 or 7 days in a row. The second year he was pitching, and that's when he hurt his arm, and that ended his career.
Yeah.
So it wasn't because he got hurt not knowing what to do because of injuring himself. He got hurt because he was trying to do better and do more than when they expected him to do.
It's the folks that have been in this town for a long time. They say that you guys could have been and probably should have been another brother duo that's in the big leagues that celebrated today type thing. That he was good enough to definitely do that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So as far as Nashville goes, I had the guys from the ownership group from the Nashville Stars that are going to bring the big leagues to Nashville. You think it's going to happen? Like, what do you think? You think we're ever going to have a major league team here?
I hope you do. I think there are a lot of markets that have teams now that would be shadowed.
Yeah.
If Nashville had a team, and I don't know what the procedure is. I don't know how you come with doing it. Obviously, you would have to have somebody sell a team, then have the new buyers move it here, or probably the thing that's more likely that won't happen anytime in the near future is expansion.
Yeah,
I don't see that happening anytime in the near future.
Yeah,
but I don't see how Nashville would not be a terrific baseball target. You have so many visitors here in the summertime. You have such good weather here in the summertime. And I think there are a lot of towns in the marketplace now for baseball that wouldn't match up to what Nashville could give you.
I agree.
Do you think a new team would be named the Nashville Stars?
It kind of. So the story is that was the Negro League team that was based out of here in the 50s or 40s or whatever it was. They were the Nashville Stars, and that's where it came from. They've even the apparel that they have. They got New Era hats and everything with the Major League, all the stuff on it, and they do a great job telling the story. They use the colors, the logos, everything from it. So I don't know. I've heard the Nashville Notes. Obviously the sounds that a minor league team here. The music background is kind of neat. It gives it a little bit of a Nashville flavor to it. The Pickers or something like that, you know. I think when Conway Twitty had his amateur organization, Twitty City, they were always the Notes or the Pickers or the Sounds. It was all music stuff.
Sure.
And it was just really cool.
That would make sense for it to be a music-related nickname.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. And obviously the iconic guitar scoreboard that they even rolled from Greer Stadium into the new one. It's just it's such a cool thing, man. There are some really cool things that make Nashville Music City. It's such a cool thing. So Bob, is there anything else, any other stories that stand out, any experiences or anything that maybe I would have missed? I got to say, man, this is such a cool thing for me. Again, growing up as a kid in our family, you had achieved the highest level of baseball, which is our whole family was just obsessed with baseball. And, so I remember I'd always heard the stories. Even as there was always, they're not here. They were here before we'd moved out of the office. There was all the team, 75 team that everybody signed. I have that baseball that was passed down. I think you gave it to my dad or somebody and it was passed down to me. I have them all. We have signed bats. I have 2 jerseys of yours that are on my jersey wall at my home in my home office right now that we sent to you that you were kind enough to sign. So this has been this is a really special thing for me personally because you were always like the icon that we all looked up to, that we were trying to measure up to as the family. I don't know if you know that.
Well, you're very kind to have me back, and I'm honored to be a very small part of this family. I'm glad that I made somebody happy somewhere along the line.
That's right. That's right, man. Again, this has been, and I think the first time that I ever met you was at your dad's funeral, and I still have I took a couple cards there, and you signed them for me that day, and you gave me humor is not wasted in our family. So there was
Okay, that's a good point you bring up.
Yep.
Those cards, what do you think they're worth?
Well, are you going to give me? So the quirky answer would be, you have to pay. You'd probably say you'd have to pay me to take one, right? But no, I have no idea what they're worth. I have no idea.
Okay, if you got the card unsigned, what do you think it's worth when it's signed?
It was supposed to be worth more when it's signed, right?
Well, what do you think?
I would think that it's going to be worth more if it's signed.
Okay, the card, any one of the cards. I think there's 10 cards.
Yep.
In my group, including a rookie card. Those cards unsigned are roughly between $2.50 and maybe $3.
Okay.
Okay. You know what they're worth signed?
It would have to double or triple, wouldn't it?
They're worth about 50 cents because it's no longer a mint card.
See there?
And that's the truth. I'm telling you, that's the truth.
So when we're getting all these things signed by these athletes, we're actually devaluing them.
Well, you're devaluing the card, not not what you have. You're not.
That's right.
But I'm very happy to this day. There's somebody someplace that has gotten our addresses, former players' addresses, and they publish them someplace. I get a lot of pieces of mail during the week. I probably get 8 to 10 envelopes a week with people who want cards signed.
Yeah.
I'm more than happy to sign them, put them in their return envelopes, and send them back to him.
That's really cool.
I just enjoy doing it. I see the number of people that are still enjoy baseball and baseball-related things. So I don't mind doing it at all.
All right, one more question. So, there was the rivalry between the Yankees and the Red Sox, and the curse that was broken in 2004, the curse. How much, like in the clubhouse for real? How much of that was like? Was that even a thing, or was that just something that the media and the press and the fans talked about?
What are you referring to?
So the curse of Babe Ruth, right? So that one, reverse the curse that happened in 2004. How much of that was how much did that?
I think it was the difference in the talent that was playing the games that wound up in that thing.
Yeah.
Obviously, you always hear the story about Babe Ruth.
Yeah.
Would he have always been a pitcher for the Red Sox? He didn't do that Ohtani stuff back in those days. And then why would you trade a guy like Babe Ruth in those days? Because they probably he didn't do enough for him to pay him. I don't know.
Yeah.
But when he went to New York, I mean, history will tell you real quick what happened there.
That's right. That's right.
But you know what's great to see? See a guy like Ohtani come along, who is really such a good player, regardless if he pitched or not, just to be able to hit the ball with that power to all sides of the ballpark, not just one place. Obviously, I never saw Ruth play, but I'm under the impression most of his home runs were pulled home runs, which led to a big plus for him playing in Yankee Stadium as opposed to Fenway. Yeah. So it's things that Ruth did, things that Ohtani does now. Mm-hmm. You can't teach.
Right.
I mean, you've got a certain level where all that belongs to you.
Yeah.
Ohtani has terrific bat speed, which allows him to hit the ball where he hits it and how he hits it. Fred Lynn had terrific bat speed.
Okay.
You can't teach somebody bat speed.
Mm-hmm.
You can help them improve their bat speed a little bit, but that's something that you're blessed with. And when you have that kind of bat speed, it makes it very difficult for pitchers to be able to pitch to you and get you out on any consistent basis.
That's right. That's right. Well, Bob, this has been a true pleasure, man. I've had an absolute blast today.
Well, I hope the value of your podcast stays stronger than the value of your signed baseball cards.
Well, you know what? Those cards are extremely valuable to me and my family. So I'm gonna say I'm gonna push back on that one just a little bit. And my son is normally he would pop in on one of these days today. He had some stuff that he was going on for his career and his school and all that. But like literally, like I'm telling you, man, my son's 16, plays ball, and since he was 4 or 5 years old, he knew about Cousin Bob. I'm telling you, it's that big of a deal here. It really is.
Well, I hope he turns out better.
Me too.
As a player.
That's right. That's the goal, right? That's the goal.
You got it.
I'm
delighted to have been here. Thanks for the invitation.
Finding the right health plan can feel overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be. Backed by over 12 years of experience and more than 20 national and local awards, Team Hyder is here to help you navigate your options and choose a plan that fits your family's needs and your budget. Visit teamhyder.com today to schedule your consultation and get the coverage that you deserve. Well, folks, former Boston Red Sox, Bob Montgomery, 14, 15 years as a baseball analyst and color commentator for the Red Sox. Man, I'm proud to say my cousin. This is really cool. This is really, really neat. It's not often you get to spend time like this with family. So, Bob, thanks again for being here today, brother.
Pleasure is mine. Folks,
thanks again for tuning in to another episode of The Hitstreak. I am your man, Nick Hyder. God bless.